Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. It's Bibi here. Welcome to a new video. So today is all about watercolor, and I think this gorgeous background stamp called Cosmos by Simon Says Stamp is just perfect to put in practice several coloring techniques. So today I'm going to use clear VersaFine ink to stamp this image on watercolor paper 300 grams, and I'm going to do this a couple of times to be able to see the image. My ink pad is contaminated with another ink colors, so the image is looking a little bit gray, and at this moment that's perfect because it's allowing me to see the image a little bit better. I'm not going to be using a lot of water, but I still want to use this masking tape to keep my paper flat. And I'm going to be using this Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolor pans, and this is the set of 36 colors. Now I'm going to wet my brush and I'm going to put some of this violet paint on that plastic piece there. This is the packaging of the watercolor paints, so I use it as a palette, and I'm mixing this paint with a lot of water. So you cannot see there, but I have a cup with water. You cannot see it in the camera there, and I'm bringing water and dripping water on this mix. Now I'm going to drop a little bit of a darker color, and that's how I get different shades of the same color. I'm using here a silver black velvet brush. This is the number 4, but feel free to use any brush you want. The only thing I will recommend is to use a round tip brush to do this. And all I'm going to do first is applying a very light wash of color over the flowers. I'm going to be using 2 different colors, which is a purple and a pink. And when you are starting applying the first wash of color, you will notice how the clear Versamark ink is resisting that wash of color and is creating hard lines that you will be able to fix later. And something which is super cool is that the clear Versamark ink is going to get the color of the watercolor paint you are applying on that area, and you will be able to see the lines of the stamped image always. So it doesn't matter how many washes of color you apply on this image, because the watercolors are translucent. You are always going to be able to see your beautiful background stamped image there, and it's going to give shape, it's going to give definition, so don't worry about how you apply the watercolor washes, okay? This step here is super easy. I'm using here another brush. This is a larger brush. So what is the difference? Well, this brush is going to hold more paint. So when you are working in small areas, you will have some kind of extra drops of paint there, and all you have to consider is if this is convenient for you or not. So perhaps the size of the image you are coloring is going to have some relation with the brush you choose. Now that I think a little bit better, maybe, but anyway. I just use any brush I have there, but one thing which is for sure, I use tiny brushes to add details, and I'm going to show you that later. So at this stage, I just start adding darker shades of color, and if I feel the color is too strong at this point, I just leave the color and I lay down darker shades of colors in those areas I want it to be darker. So another thing I do is I grab clear water and I apply the clear water on those areas I want to be lighter, and then I leave the color like I just did there. Another thing you can do is drop in color when this is still wet to get some darker areas. And a little tip you have to bear in mind is that the watercolor paints are always going to look darker when they are wet. Once they dry, they are going to lose that intensity, or they are going to look lighter. So what I do to build up the color is to apply several washes of color, and every time I do it, I don't know if I do it without thinking. Honestly, I don't think too much, I don't overthink, but what I do is to add shadows in the center of the flower and at the edges of the flower, so that I give that appearance that the flower is curved or it has a little bit of dimension. So that's all I do, honestly. I also like to drop in, for example, in a pink flower like this one here, I also like to drop some of that purple color that I apply in the other flowers, so the image is going to look more harmonic, or the whole picture is going to look more harmonic. This is watercolor for card making. It's not a real watercolor paint. You know, when you paint or when you create a watercolor composition and you allow the watercolors washes to do their own magic, that's completely different. Here I'm controlling the color flow, and if I feel the color go in another direction, I just use my brush to put the color where I want to. And another thing I do when I want to make my cards is I just try to find a peaceful moment. I go to my craft room, I play some music, drink some coffee, relax, and I just focus in my coloring. I don't think or overthink what to do, how to do it. I just start applying colors and I build up the color following the lines of the stamped image. So for example, in that flower there, I apply strokes of color from the center of the petals to the edge of the petals, and then I clean my brush and I apply a little bit of clear water at the edges of the petals, and also to blend the colors or those strokes a little bit. I never work over the edges of the flowers, and I leave a very thin gap between petals untouched. I never apply color in those areas, so the petals get a little bit more definition and they don't look like one single thing. So I spent 45 minutes, 1 hour adding colors to this panel, and I'm not going to keep you here that long. I'm going to speed the video. I'm going to play some music so that I can show you the coloring process, or the whole coloring process, and you can see how little by little I build up the color and I give shape to all the florals in this background. we almost never have this bright sun that we are having today here in Scotland. It's still very cold though, but it was hitting on the table, so I have to move my table, my camera and everything to another side so I can show you this. And I wanted to show you also this close up because I want to show you how I'm using here a very tiny brush to add details or to add shadows. So if you notice there, I'm going like 3 millimeters from the edge of the petals and trying to create that shape there. And you know, the stamped image has like the foldings at the edges of the petals, so I don't touch those areas of the image. I just apply a very light wash of color over those areas so that they look like if they were curling up, and they create a really nice effect in the whole image. So I keep adding details to this image and I say, okay, I'm going to stop. You have to stop at some point because sometimes when you are making a card, you keep going and going and nobody can stop you. So I stopped right there and I really like the results. It looks really nice despite it's not perfect. You can see all those unfinished edges of the flowers, but it's cool. So in the evening I came back again. I still was thinking about this panel and I grabbed a black Faber-Castell polychrome pencil and I added some lines here and there. You can also see that I already applied some white dots and black dots over the center of these flowers. I've been doing that very often in all my cards. And then to finish that, I glue this panel on a piece of black foam, and then I glue this on a piece of black cardstock. I also trim a very thin strip of cardstock and I just glue this in this area there, and then I die cut the sentiment twice out of gold mirror cardstock using a beautiful die by Simon Says stamp called Praying for You. And I just glue the sentiment over that black strip of cardstock. And to add a little bit of dimension, I added another die cut word on top. And I also added sequins from Knit and Tangle. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel, visit my blog for more ideas and inspiration. I'm also in Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and the links are in the video description. You will also find supply list in the video description, and when you buy through those links in the video description, I also get a small commission and no extra cost to you. So thank you very much for watching and happy crafting. Bye!